details. Let's now shift focus to some startup funding news. Ethereal Machines has announced a fresh funding round. My colleague Ritu Singh is at the startup's factory on the outskirts of Bangalore. Ritu, over to you.
Advanced manufacturing startup Ethereal Machines has raised $7.3 million in a pre-Series A funding round, which is led by Peak 15 Surge, Blue Ventures, and a whole host of other angel investors. The company aims to use these funds to scale its operations in India, open more factories that are going to manufacture precision engineering components. In fact, I am in the company's very first factory here in India, in Bengaluru, to catch up with its co-founder, Kaushik Mutta, to talk about this funding, of course, and the company's plans going ahead. Kaushik, welcome to CNBC-TV18, and thank you for your time here. If I could start by asking you about Ethereal Machines and how it came about. I read about the work you were doing in the pandemic. You do everything from making components from jewelry to aviation to auto. Tell us, what is the gap you found in the market because of which you started this company?
So first of all, thanks for having me here. So Ethereal came about because my co-founder and I, Naveen and I, we were classmates and we're extremely passionate about the India manufacturing story. And we believe that for India to become a superpower, advanced manufacturing or advanced machining, precision machining is extremely crucial. What we do is that we build extremely complex CNC machines which are used for precision machining from ground up. And we use this across a variety of industries. So we cater to clients from the aerospace industry, aerospace and defense, medtech industry, and that's exactly what we were doing during the pandemic, where we created this differential ventilator splitter. We supplied a host of them, free equipped a lot of hospitals across the country in the case that there was a very rapid surge, then that could be used. The advantage with us is that because we know how to build these complex machines, we know how to build complex components.
Yes. For our viewers, CNC is computer numeric controls.
Yes.
So those are the machines, of course, that you're building here. But, let me again come back to this big opportunity you spoke about in manufacturing. From whether it's the PLI scheme for the manufacturing, whether it's the Make in India push, the China Plus One opportunity, there's plenty the government is doing to really push the sector. For a young company like you that's into the advanced mechanics of it, what would you say is the size of the opportunity you're trying to tap here?
So we're looking at different industries over here, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to just look at the spending that's going to happen over the next 5 to 7 years in the aerospace and defense industries, we're looking at a 5 lakh crore. There are a couple of initiatives such as IDDM, which the defense industry and the aerospace, both of them have come up with, where things have to be manufactured locally to be used by the aviation sector, to be used by the defense sectors. If you were to look at the drone sector, that's another upcoming market for us with the recent successful IPO of IdeaForge. And some of the backers of IdeaForge have now also come on board at Ethereal. We are seeing a huge improvement in terms of government spending and push for these industries. We are seeing a lot of push from players in Europe, in US, who want to have an alternative to the China manufacturing options. In fact, some of them have just already shut those doors down and they're exploring options here. So we get close to around 30% of the queries we generate on a weekly basis comes from the western part of the world. So there's a huge push for Indian manufacturing. Okay,
so let me talk to you about the 7.3 million funding, which you weren't very willing to speak about. But what's the plan? When you say you want to scale your operations, what exactly do you mean?
So the way we look at this industry now increasing for us, right? We want to go into multiple other manufacturing hubs. Like right now, we are in like an offbeat place, right? Like you hear from startups from Indiranagar, HSR and Kormangala all the time. I'm in Pina. It must have been a trek for you to come here. But this is an industrial hub, which is well known for precision manufacturing. So similarly, there are a couple of other hubs that we've identified, not just in India. We also want to enter the US market. We also want to enter into the German market. So we're going to set up more of these kind of hubs. So it's going to be a copy-paste model from now on, that this is how our factory looks like. One particular factory, this is how it looks. These are the number of machines that go. These are the processes that get accompanied. And we're going to copy-paste it and replicate it in different manufacturing hubs.
So how many factories are you going to have, say, in the next 1 year or so? Or what's your plan?
So right now, we're planning to expand this hub to close to 50 machines from 10 over here. So we're going to be expanding this first to 50. And over the next 2 years, we're looking at 2 more hubs like this.
And where would those be?
One in India and one in America.
Okay, so you're looking at 2 more large hubs. That's the plan for now. But before we let you go, we also wanted to talk about financials. You gave us a bit of a picture into the revenue mix. But what is the current run rate you're tracking? And of course, you have these large investors backing you. I'm sure they're asking you questions on profitability as well.
We've been very frugal with the spends. We've not raised, before this, we just raised a $1 million round. We've been very level-headed in terms of how we spend our money, where we spend our money. I think that was one of the things that also attracted these investors to us.
Yeah.
That we've been very frugal, and we still are. What we are very focused on is that, and I don't want to get into too much of these numbers, but we ensure that every machine that's on the shop floor pays back for itself within a year.
Okay.
And it has a lifetime of generating revenue for us for 5 to 6 more years after that.
That's profitability at a very micro level.
Yes.
Okay.
And if we focus on that, from there we can build on.
Yeah.
And we've achieved it at that level already.
Okay.
And now we're building it at an org kind of level in terms of, is it running for every hour? Is it, earning what it's supposed to earn?
Profitable yet? 9 years later?
On our machine per machine basis, we are. On an org wise, not yet.
Okay.
We're going to be hitting that close to around 15 to 16 months from now.
Okay. All right. So there's a clear path to that in the next year or so.
There definitely is.
All right, Kaushik, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you very much for having us here at your factory. On that note, I'm going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
Welcome back to Startup Street. We put the maker of autonomous industrial robots, Ati Motors, on the hot seat today. The venture recently raised $10.85 million in its Series A funding round, led by Silicon Valley's True Ventures. Atira Venture Partners joins as a new investor, and previous investors, Bloom Ventures, Xfinity Ventures, and MFE Partners also participated in the round. Now, Ati Motors now aims to further accelerate the development and deployment of its robotics technology for automating work in industrial environments and warehouses. Joining me now is its co-founder and CEO, Saurabh Chandra. Saurabh, welcome to Startup Street. Now, Ati Motors develops autonomous mobile robots that claim to optimize productivity and also streamline operations in sectors such as warehousing, logistics, and manufacturing. Saurabh, if you could share some use cases that will help us understand your offerings and how you are transforming industries through innovative robotics technology.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. We make robots which move trolleys, bins, and other material in shop floors primarily. So, you can see, I'm in my own shop floor, and we have our robots behind me. And some of these robots would basically be either pulling trolleys or taking bins from some place to another. Think of them as taking raw material from, say, a store to the shop floor, doing line feeding, taking, say, a bumper to a assembly line of a car manufacturing facility, or, for example, taking parts from a paint shop to another plant outside. We have weathered 2 monsoons now, so it just doesn't work inside the plant, but between plants also. So it's a very capable autonomous vehicle. We bring the same kind of mindset as autonomous cars, but do it in the factory premises. And that has allowed us to go commercial much faster and bring productivity.
Okay. Like you said, Saurabh, your robots are inspired by self-driving cars in terms of how they combine artificial intelligence, computer vision, and hardware to perform complex tasks in dynamic environments. So tell us, by how much do the new models of advanced autonomous mobile robots basically enhance productivity and efficiency for your clients?
So they are able to completely automate stuff which they do today. We match the takt times as they currently get it. In one of the tire plants where we put it, we actually saw 3x productivity improvement in terms of what the robots are doing.
Okay. So now let's talk about the fundraise. The fresh funds raised, you plan to expand into markets in the US, Southeast Asia, Japan, and Europe, while you're also exploring opportunities across new sectors. If you could elaborate on your expansion plans and what new areas interest you.
So we have really found a great product market fit in the automotive sector. As of now, we are in OEM plants, we are making cars. We are in the Hyundai plant, for example. We are in Bosch, TVS. And now we are seeing a lot of interest in, say, pharma, chemicals, and we want to go to, in the automotive sector itself, to US, Southeast Asia. We are already doing demos in Thailand, for example. Just shipped the first bot to Mexico for one of the demos. So we have gotten an interest and inquiries from all over the globe.
Okay. Saurabh, you also plan to continue to invest in research and development to launch new products and capabilities. If you could talk to us about the new offerings in the pipeline, how soon will the rollout be and what markets again will you be looking at?
So we recently launched the two robots that you see next to me. We had a product launch on just last week.
Yes.
And these are much more compact robots. We launched the Sherpa Pivot, which doesn't just tug, but we can carry a very modular architecture, which can carry different kinds of payloads. We are seeing use cases. The customers are actually surprising us by the innovative things they are wanting to use this for. So, for example, one of the OEMs wants to assemble the complete motorcycles on top of the bots, right? Replace those fixed assembly lines which have been around since Henry Ford with robots. And that's the kind of flexible manufacturing system that the current economy demands, because there's just so much variety that customers want. And our factories have to respond to that demand and variety. And how do they do that? Because things keep changing. We want a bike in 100 different features. And that's what the factories need to respond to. And there's no other way to respond to these things unless you use robotics.
Sure.
So that's something that we are doing.
Saurabh, take us through the business growth numbers. What kind of revenues are you currently seeing?
So we're still very early stage, but really great growth with all the customers. We are seeing a lot of repeat purchases, etc. We are we're basically seeing early revenue already from the US, apart from India. But very early for us to talk about numbers. But growing. I mean, last year we grew roughly 10x of where we were, right? So, but on a very small base. I think this is really early stage where our focus is largely on deploying as many robots as possible with these blue chip customers, and that's what we are gunning for.
All right. One final question, if you could quickly answer that. The autonomous robot space is brimming with immense opportunities. Where do you see the sector in the next 5 years? And also, what are the biggest challenges the sector faces currently?
So in autonomous robots are doing very well. We know, Amazon is deploying close to 1 million robots very soon. So everybody has to catch up. But factories have not caught up as much as warehouses have. And I think where we have made a difference is because factories are very challenging environments. Compared to what warehouses are. And what we have done is really solve the tough challenge of going and operating in factories as they are. Yes. A lot of robots operate in factories as they want them to be, or in warehouses, which get completely customized for robotics. What the challenge that we took in is that they should apply into the real world as it exists, rather than what we wish it to be. And I think that's the big challenge for robotics. Rather than hope for pristine environments, we should be able to operate in dirty environments.
All right, Saurabh, sorry to cut you in, but we've completely run out of time. Many thanks for joining us on Startup Street, and wish you the very best with all your growth plans.
And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Startup Street from Shruti and me. Goodbye and many thanks for watching. More news continues on the other side.